y'all. Just wanted to come back and make a video update on what's going on with the Honda. Where's the Honda? Everyone's wondering what's going on with the Civic.
What? Bro, what are you talking about?
To answer that question, it's been in a million pieces for the past 8 months. And the reason being is because the last video you watched of mine was me building a turbo kit for this car. If you recall correctly, if you actually watched those 2 videos of me building that kit, you would know that everything that I was doing was sub-optimal, and I just didn't really have the time or the tools or the money or the right parts to make that car run how it should. And on top of that, the engine that I had bought for that car, I had bought from a JDM engine warehouse. And that engine, if you remember those videos, when I took it apart, it was completely caked in oil and gunk. And I'll show you that engine right here. So this is the engine that was in the car. You can tell because the block is painted. If I were to pull off this valve cover and oil pan, I took the Type S pump and I took the cam gear off of the intake for this engine that I have in here now. The story behind this engine that's in here is I was on a work trip in California, like Los Angeles, and I got a really good deal for it. It was $500 for a K24A JDM RBB3. There's a little sneak peek, and it came with the transmission, and I got it for $500. And I was able to ship it back to Utah on the freight truck that we used for the job. Before I get too off track, I wanted to talk about where this car has been. I was saying I drove this car down from Oregon to Utah, and that is a 10-hour drive, 11 to 12 if you go the speed limit. And so I had got, right after that second video, I had got the car put all back together. I don't know how the timeline is on that because I know I made that video a little late. But anyways, I was just so busy putting that thing together. I got it running, got it driving, no leaks, nothing. And so the day comes where I have to drive this thing down. And with the manifold setup that I have on it, it's the ram horn style manifold. I'll give you a peek of that right now. But if you look down in here, that's the top of the exhaust manifold. And from factory, you have your ABS pump, which runs lines across the top of the engine bay. Actually, I think what I did realize, if you remember in one of those videos, I was talking about how it was touching. Here you can see that my oil feed line is actually touching these brake lines up here. So I really don't know what I'm going to do about that. It may pose a problem in the future. I might be driving one day and my brakes stop working and I crash into a tree. But well, I finally spoke that into existence, and about 5 hours into my drive, I'm stopping for gas. And my brakes had been feeling a little weird from going down this mountain pass. And I'm pulling into this pump. And before I even realize it, I lose my brakes and my pedal just sinks to the floor. And what had happened was the hard line that was touching the top of the manifold here had either cracked or broken or gotten too hot. And it leaked all over the manifold. And I saw a big puff of smoke. So I hop out of the car. I'm right next to this gas pump, and I'm looking in the engine bay, and I'm looking down there, and I see a little flame, and I realize that my car is actually on fire. Now, fortunately, in the back of my car, I had a fire extinguisher. It's now living up there. I need to buy a new one. It's just been on the back burner. But yeah, so my car caught fire, and I lost brakes. I was about halfway through the drive, so I still had to make another 5 hours with no brakes. So I managed that by staying behind semis, keeping good distance, and slowing and stopping with my e-brake and downshifting. And I also lost third gear shortly after I lost my brakes. So that was one hell of a drive down here, but the car made it in one piece, I guess. And for about 8 months, this car sat in a shop and did not move or get worked on or touched until I decided that I was ready to build this car again once I got my situation in order, when I had the space and time and the tools and money to do so. So now here we are, current day. If you look on the outside of this car, you can see that the paint looks like total garbage. And that's because I painted this car myself when I was 17 and I did a terrible job. So on this side of the car, it's I polished it just to see what it would look like. I sanded it with 600 grit all the way up to 4,000 grit, and used my buffing and polish compounds. And you know, it's real nice and shiny in some of these spots, but it's also burned all the way through to primer and even metal in some spots. So that is something that I'm gonna have to work on in the future. But for right now, I don't have the time or money to deal with it, or space, as a matter of fact. Before you become bored out of your mind and click off the video, we're gonna get into what I've actually done to this turbo setup, what I've changed, what's better, and I'll show you all the work I've put in the past 5-6 months. Here's the big reveal, popping the hood. For context, the amount of hours and evenings, late nights I've put into this car, blood, sweat, and tears. I finally completed it, and here we are. So this is the engine bay. As you know, this is an engine. And let's get into the heart and core of the setup. This is a K24A JDM engine, RBB2, out of who the hell knows what. The turbo that's equipped on this engine right here is a Pulsar dual ball bearing T51R GT3582R replica. So that turbo ran me a couple $100. It's an actual ball bearing turbo opposed to the old turbo, which was a $100 journal bearing turbo off of eBay that I had welded a downpipe directly to because I did not have the right flange. So I'll show you a few images of the fabrication, but at this point I'll show you underneath the car. Actually can't get a really good view, but as you can see now I have a full exhaust that runs all the way down to that downpipe, and this is all what I've created myself. I custom built it, did measurements and everything myself. This time everything fits damn near perfectly, aside from this wastegate dump that I have right here that touches sometimes, but I'm still working to find a better way to relocate this. I'm thinking I'll make a rotation and have it come up this side. Regardless, it works for now. The wastegate that I'm running is a, let's see, VS Racing Gen 2 wastegate. It's equipped with a 10-pound spring. This car makes just shy of 11 pounds of boost. And if you ask me how much horsepower, that is a question that I do not have an answer to. And that is because it is street tuned. One huge difference about this setup compared to the last one, it has a healthy engine, and two, I really focused on heat management. So if you look behind here, I have fully heat wrapped every line, and everything is safely protected from high temperatures. And this time I should not catch any fire because if you look down here, I no longer have an ABS pump. So how I did that was I deleted the ABS module. And if you look down in that little crack there, you can see that valve. And that is ABS delete valve from DC5 Creations, and that ran me about 80 bucks. Actually, no, I think it was around 200 bucks actually. But it comes with your own lines. All you have to do is pull out all your ABS components and install that valve, and you should be good to go. This build being a non-ABS build, it also has no option of VSA or traction control either, which is fine because traction control is not really necessary for what I do with this vehicle. So anyways, the heart of the car is the K24A2. It's a completely stock bottom end, completely stock top end. The only modifications I have made to this engine are a Type S oil pump and a 50-degree RBC cam gear. And that gives it plenty of extra lower end torque, and that oil pump will allow me to rev it higher and more safely. I believe the red line of this car is somewhere around 8,400 or 8,200, maybe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so for reliability mods, I mentioned the the heat management that I've done. I've heat wrapped the manifold, all of the downpipe, and the turbo. The turbo has a heat blanket on it, just a cheap eBay turbo blanket. I don't really know if you can see it back there, maybe from here. Yeah, no, it's really tight under here, but that's also another thing that's a lot better now, is the way that things are routed is a lot more clear to have access to oil filter, for example. I don't have to pull off the downpipe to change my oil now, so that's quite nice. Originally, I had planned to relocate the fuse box, ECU, and battery all behind the dash here because this car has no interior aside from door cards, partial dash, and the back is completely gutted. And I'm planning on removing the sunroof and welding a metal plate at some point soon, but it's not really a huge priority at the moment. But the reason I didn't relocate these is just because I would have had to cut and modify my harness, which I had made an attempt of. I had everything cut and resoldered and relocated, and it was great. But the problem was that I had removed one singular CAN bus wire that I could not trace due to lack of information online. And I spent hours, trust me. But I had that whole harness torn apart. I cut into it. It was a rainbow spaghetti nightmare. It was a huge headache. And I ended up just buying a brand new used engine compartment and dash harness. So once I made the decision to put all this back in here, that kind of got rid of this extra space that I planned to use for one of my catch cans. I'm running a dual catch can setup. The first one is a very simple PCV setup. Realistically, I probably should upgrade to 10 AN lines for all of this. But the PCV catch can that I have right here works good enough as of right now, and it hasn't really given me any problems. So I'm just going to run that until I decide that I can't anymore. But it's very simple. It's got a one-way valve, pre-catch can and post-catch can being the OEM PCV valve. So that just filters out oil particles from going into the intake and dirtying up my valves. You don't want that. It also is port injection, so it's not as big of a deal as if it was direct injection, like the European cars. But it also is just a good safety measure to keep my air clean. So that's the first catch can setup. And the secondary catch can just pulls blow-by from the valve cover while I'm under boost, because that PCV valve will close under boost and it won't be able to vent. So I have to have two catch cans. I've been told that it's a good idea to run dual 10 AN lines. But I only ordered a dual port catch can, so I would either have to tee them together or I don't know. I just didn't want to deal with that, so I did single outlet from the valve cover, single outlet from the catch can, which it is a closed system, so you can't really see it that great, but the secondary line runs from the catch can to the intake, and the idea is that under boost it will pull all of that extra pressure out of the top end of the engine that gets past the rings, and it will recycle it. And it's a closed system, so I don't have to worry about fumes or anything. Mind you, fumes are not quite my biggest concern. That's a problem for another day. I'm just happy that the car drives now. I've made another couple of adjustments that you can't really see from this perspective. One of those that you can is a PQY. It's like a K-Tune replica upper coolant housing. I opted to not run the upper coolant neck tube because I just didn't have space for it, and I don't really need it that much. This just deleted the heater core. This car has no AC, no heat, no HVAC, no ABS, no interior. It weighs probably at least 500 pounds less than it did from factory. No audio, no radio, none of that. It's very core, bare bones. If you look inside here, it also has no airbags. I'm working on planning out a roll cage for it. I know that there are a few kits online that you can buy, but I would like to challenge myself to build my own. I moved all the fancy stuff like the carbon steering wheel, all the cool things that I had onto my daily, which is outside over there. But yeah, so this is the interior. It's quite shit. I got this little starter button here because my ignition was having an issue with sending signal to the starter. So now I just use a button. It's kind of ghetto, but it works for now. Also, my door handles are clapped and the interior ones don't work. So you have to open the window. But anyways, if I had to give this car estimated power number, it would be in the low 400s. This is definitely the most power this car has ever made. It has a stock clutch in it, which slips pretty bad in 4th and 5th gear when you're getting on it. So to remedy that, I bought this stage 1 clutch with a lightweight flywheel from Marketplace. So I just need to set aside a weekend to pull the engine back out and install that, or transmission, sorry. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much it. Now I have legit, I pulled the coolant from the side here where the oil cooler, the factory oil cooler, really it's just a plate that gets the oil to operating temp faster. I deleted that and ran coolant from those lines directly to the turbo. Oil feed, I think I just used this sandwich plate again. I was going to use the oil pressure switch adapter, but it stuck out too far and it blocked my downpipe, so I had to go back to a sandwich plate as well as my oil pressure sensor, which is also connected there. One thing that I did change was the oil drain. If you remember correctly, I had the timing cover plate oil return, and with my original setup that was fine because the turbo was up higher and it had it would go down and it wouldn't have like a loop or anything at the bottom. But with the bigger turbo and with the different manifold, my turbo is now bottom mount instead of top mount, and it brings that oil drain lower than that timing cover. So what I had to do is drill and tap into the oil pan and install a proper oil return. So now I no longer push oil through the seals and smoke like a freight train, and everything seems to be pretty dialed. This car runs great, makes great power. I can't speak on reliability just because I haven't driven it that long, but I'm certainly a lot happier with where this is now versus where I was a couple months ago. But anyways, that's pretty much everything that I've done to this car. It's a basic update. If you want to know more, you can just ask questions. I'll make sure to answer all of those in the comments. So yeah, now I'll just compile a few clips of this thing running and driving, and yeah, you can get a good idea of what it sounds like, what it drives like, how much of a freaking hoot this machine is. It's one hell of a car. It's scary, actually. It's the fastest car I've ever driven. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, oh, it's just a 4-cylinder, you don't know what a fast car is, maybe you're right. I don't really care. I built this myself. I'm really proud of it. And it's taken a lot of effort and time and hours and money. And no matter what anyone tells me, I'm proud of this shit. So if you hate me, then you can fuck right off. Anyways, have a wonderful day.